Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Rachel and I have been vlogging my way through my nursing journey since 2014. It's crazy to think about, but back in 2014, I began my nursing journey by pursuing my associate's degree. I then went on to get my bachelor's degree and am now a graduate student studying nurse anesthesia. I wanted to give you guys an update on everything that's been happening with school. It's been highly requested and I miss you guys. I miss making videos. So I wanted to give you guys a fun little video today that is gonna be addressing my expectations and the realities of CRNA school thus far. If that is something that you're interested in, stay tuned and we will get into it. So the first expectation I had was that I would just be learning anesthesia related material. I thought that I would go into things and yeah, I knew we had pharmacology, yeah, I knew we had anatomy and these different classes, but I thought, okay, well, they're naturally going to be condensing down the material to what we actually need to know for anesthesia, right? No, we ended up doing an in-depth deep dive in pretty much every body system in anatomy. So we went through a lot of diseases. Granted, it was not every single disease under the sun, but a lot of disease processes, a lot of the nitty-gritty anatomy and physiology. It just really goes to show the caliber and the detail in which we had to learn all of that material. So that was a little bit of a rude awakening, but in retrospect, I'm really happy that we have learned all of that information. It's definitely going to be on boards, well, some of it, and it'll definitely give me a better understanding so that I can care for my patients better come clinicals. The second expectation I had, and I'm not sure why I had this, I had just sort of painted graduate school out to be this like graduate school, like class is gonna be in this big lecture hall, it's gonna be like super formal, and I'm gonna learn everything that I need to know in class. And that could not be further from the truth. If anything, I would say that my learning in CRNA school has been 99% self-study. So if I were to just go to class, just listen to lecture, there's no way, absolutely no way, that I would be passing tests. A lot of what I have had to do is prepare and read over material, even sometimes make my notes and begin studying prior to going to class, prior to being lectured on that subject, and then I have to come home, study more, prepare for the test. So there is a lot of self-study that goes into CRNA school, and I was really surprised by that. So speaking of studying, the next expectation I had was that my undergraduate ways of studying would carry me through CRNA school. Nah, dog. I was completely wrong. I had to completely overhaul how I studied, and that went down to the very fundamentals of how I prepared for class, what I did on my own, the study materials that I used, and how I gathered information, synthesized it, and then continued on to learn it in order to, you know, be successful on an exam. So that was a rude awakening. I feel like I pretty much figured out my study method, but even sometimes it depends on your class, it depends on your professor, and it depends a lot on the type of material you are being presented with as well. So the next expectation I had was that my passion and drive would really carry me through any struggles I faced in CRNA school. And as much as I want to say that that's true, that was not sufficient for me. I heavily relied on my husband, who, God bless him, he is the most patient, understanding man in the world, as well as my family, my sister, my parents, and even my classmates. I know that I could not have gotten through my first 2 semesters of CRNA school without some outside sources of support, because there were some really tough times. It's not just, oh, it's really hard to learn this material, it's really hard to get a good grade on this test. There's a whole psychosocial aspect of CRNA school that you really can't prepare for until you're there and in the thick of it. But it was a huge struggle for me. I feel really blessed to have some people in my class that I can really depend on and trust. So the next expectation that I had about CRNA school is that my time management would allow CRNA school to be doable. I have always sort of considered myself to be great with time management, whether it's in my personal life, school, work, all 3 together. Juggling everything simultaneously has never been an issue for me. I worked throughout all of my undergraduate nursing. I had 2 jobs at one point while getting my associate's degree. I worked all throughout obtaining my BSN. I thought that now that I would be unemployed and in school, it would be like, you know, pretty manageable. And the reality of the situation was my time management was completely flipped upside down. While I only go to lecture for a brief portion of the day, back when we were doing lecture, back pre-corona, the amount of studying, it's crazy. Some days I feel like I can be really efficient and get everything accomplished that I need to, but the vast majority of the days I just feel like I'm being steamrolled, like I can barely keep my head above water. And so that's another thing where I just felt completely taken off guard. Here I thought I would be fine with my time management and my studying. Those were like my two fallbacks where I was like, nah, I'm good, I'm gonna do this. And no, they did not cut it. The next kind of fun expectation I had was that, considering I was coming from a level 1 trauma CTICU, I thought that I was gonna have some sort of an advantage because we really did deal with super sick patients, arguably some of the sickest patients in the country, and I thought it was gonna give me a huge leg up over the people who maybe worked, oh, you worked MICU, oh, okay. Oh, you worked at your tiny little community hospital, oh, okay. And I really was humbled because it did not benefit me at all. And to me, that was almost kind of exciting because it's like, here, we were all in the class, we'd all been out of school for 5+ years, and we're trying to sit down and all relearn the structure of a cell. And it was just very humbling because, you know, we were back at ground zero. Nothing that you learned in the ICU is gonna help you in didactics. And quite honestly, even concepts that you learned in undergrad that you knew, you got tested on, you passed your board, you got your license over these concepts, they're not as fresh in your memory as you think they're gonna be when you're going into anatomy, physiology at the cellular level and getting back into that nitty-gritty. So that was the reality. It was quite humbling. The next expectation that I had going into CRNA school is that I would never think of quitting. It was not an option. And while I will say that I never seriously considered it, I would be lying if I said that the thought never crossed my mind. And then I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, I have like a bunch of student debt right now, so I can't. And I'm also unemployed. So it's not really a viable option, but I would be lying if I said that I didn't ever think like, oh my gosh, like what was I thinking? Why did I rock the boat? I was making okay money at the bedside. I could still be working as a nurse and making a decent living and save my family, myself, my poor sweet husband, all of this stress. And yeah, when you start thinking like that, it gets very sombering, I guess I should say, very quickly. But yeah, I've been there. You just gotta keep on going. The last expectation that I had going into CRNA school was that didactics would be a great break from the bedside. It would give me a much needed rest coming from, you know, my past as a burnt out CTICU nurse. It would give me a really nice break from patient care and patients, really, honestly. And the reality of the situation was I actually really miss being in the thick of everything that goes on in the hospital. We have had a few shadow days. I had 3 shadow days at the clinical site that I will be going to in August. It just totally reignited my passion about the entire CRNA profession because it made me realize that while I might say that, oh, I don't like being a bedside nurse, like sometimes patients are really draining and it's not what I want to deal with, and family members can be a lot. It truly is what makes being a nurse so rewarding, is getting that human to human interaction. That's what really ignites my passion about it all. Like, yeah, the science of it, the pharmacology, the underlying, you know, pathophysiology, it's all really neat and stuff. Like, I really do enjoy learning about that, but being able to see it come to life through interaction with a patient, it's really what I'm about. It's what I'm here for. Really excited to get back into doing things in the hospital and feeling like I'm a real nurse again. And like I said, we should be starting clinicals in August. I'm very excited about that. We are getting ready to start our summer semester, which will be my final semester of didactics. I think we get maybe a week off in between then and starting clinicals, but of course you have hospital orientation, so it's sort of just all up in the air. The F word, aka flexibility, has been key in CRNA. So yeah, those were a few of the expectations that I had going into CRNA school and sort of how the reality of those has come to light for me throughout my first 2 semesters of CRNA school. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I plan to post videos every Sunday. So if you want to continue keeping up with my journey, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and wishing you guys the best. I hope you're all staying safe and well, and I will talk to you again on Sunday. Bye.